website for the Liberty Cafe as on Facebook. If you get a request, there's going to be a group page for that as well on Facebook. There will not be a separate Twitter account. I can't keep up with all of this, guys. Really, seriously. I mean, I like to think of myself as superhuman, but I'm not Superman. I cannot do it all. And my plate is rather full. But the funny thing about a busy person is somebody once told me, if you ever want to get something done and done right the first time and done as quickly as it possibly can get done, ask a busy person. Ask somebody to do it who says they don't have any more time to do anything else. If you ask them to do it and they take it on, it will get done exactly the way you want it to get done, under budget and within the time frame that you want it done, with great results. And, you know, I look back on my life and I found that to be absolutely true. Absolutely. You know, if you, because where do people go if they want a product or a service? What product or service do you usually buy? You usually buy a product or service that you know is a good product or service because a lot of people buy it. So if you want a painter, you know, to come paint your house, what painter do you usually want to get? You want the painter who's painted all your friends' houses. You want the painter who says, yeah, this is April. You're calling him in April and says, I cannot possibly get to you until September because I'm booked up until then. That's the guy you want. That's the painter you want. You want the one who's always busy. You want the one because they're good. You want the ones who are good, and the good ones are always busy. If you want an employee to do something for your company, and you want the best possible action or result for that particular thing in your company, you're probably should ask one of the most busy employees in your organization. Why are they so? You're probably saying, but they're busy. But why are they busy? They're busy because they're good. That's the point. They're good at what they do. So if you want a carpenter, it doesn't matter if it's a trade or if it's a profession. You want somebody good, the best you can afford, to do whatever you need to have done. But the one criteria, one way that you find out who the best is how busy they are. And usually those who are the busiest are the best at their craft because everybody wants them. That's why they're so busy. So the whole notion of, you know, find the busy person to do what you want to get done, and they'll get done on time, under budget, with A+ results. And I look around and I believe that is to be fully the truth. And I know some people are saying, well, we're probably not going to be calling any of our politicians to do anything. And you're absolutely freaking right about that. I don't think we'll be calling many of our politicians to do much. Anyway, folks, it is, well, I should say, I almost said Fast and Furious Friday, but, Free for All Friday. Where just about, any subject is up. It's a little bit lighter program on Fridays that we have here on the Rod Eccles Show, simply because, we want to go into, I try to keep things more lighthearted in order to ease us into the weekend so we can celebrate our liberty and our freedom. And I've done that for a very long time. I think I started doing that way back in the beginning. And for those of you who are tuning in, this is new to you. This program is new to you. Understand, I have been doing this in audio form on the air since 2009. I have been doing this as far as writing and blogging about such stuff like this since 1998. So, yeah, I'm not really new to the game on this. I'm not really new. You may just be finding out about me for a number of reasons. Most of that is due, like I said, when you find somebody that you can get to work for you that's good at what they do, you hold on to them. You do. You keep them. Why else would you ever notice how it's really rare that a good, solid employee, outside of corporate politics, a good, solid employee who brings in, business, it's rare that they get fired. It does happen. I can contest that it happened to me. Back in the early 90s, there was a company that I worked for called PageMart. Now, some of you will remember, pagers used to be the cell phones of the 90s. Well, and the two biggest companies or players in the market were PageMart and PageNet. PageNet was number one. PageMart was number two. Except in this area of New England where I am, PageMart was number one, mostly because the three salespeople that worked in the Boston office, including myself, we kicked ass. That's why PageMart in the greater Boston area was number one. But I was a number one salesperson in the office, top 10 on the East Coast. And yet, when we got a new manager, because we did so well in this office that our manager got promoted, and they brought in a new manager who was a copier salesperson and manager, came in, and he fired me. Yeah, top 10 East Coast territory, number one in the Boston office. I get fired. Office politics. That's all it is. But outside of that, you never let go of the best that you have. You never let go. Because that's, but unfortunately, we don't, you know what the problem is? I think I have figured out the problem with politics and the American people. Now, you have to understand, the American people, we are a great nation because of the people. We're a great people. We're friendly. Generally speaking, we're friendly. We're caring. And we really do love, we see all these stories and pieces and commentary about how much Americans love war. Now, actually, we don't. We don't love war. We loathe it. We hate it. We try to stay out of it as much as possible. Even when we realize that it's nearly impossible for us to stay out, we still want to stay out of the war. We always, but we don't hesitate to pick up arms if somebody really is going to attack us, if they're really going to threaten our way of life. But America has a very long-fused temper. We're not quick to wrath. It is unusual for us to strike back at somebody in a very quick fashion. Now, small skirmishes, yeah, you do this, and Reagan, boom, we'll go in, bang, you're done. Bush, they found out, what terrorists were involved in it. Boom, 9/11, boom, take you out. Yes, we're very good at that. But if you notice, it takes a lot for us to get that ticked off, that we go after you like that. It takes a lot for the American people, generally speaking, to get ticked off like that, to want to go after you and have your head. You can't really say that about a lot of other, not every country on the planet, but a lot of other countries are a lot more quick to the trigger than the United States is. So we are a grand people when it comes to loving others, caring about us. We're the most generous nation on the planet. Americans, by far and large, donate a bigger portion of their private income to charities than any other nation on the planet. The UN even recognizes that. And for those of you in Rush Limbaugh's Rio Linda, that's United Nations. There is no country that is more generous than the United States. There isn't one. And even though, half the countries in the UN hate the United States, they fully understand and realize not only are we the ones with the money, but we're also the ones that are most generous with that money. So they love to hate us, and they hate loving us. Plain and simple. But we also expect excellence from all of this stuff that we do. Look, we settled the frontier. We didn't do it half-heartedly because you wouldn't survive if you tried doing it half-heartedly. You had to go all out. It was full success, success or bust. In order to be successful or bust, you could not accept anything less than the best. Your best effort, your best employee, whatever it is. We celebrate the best. Look at sports. Even in the entertainment business, they've got award ceremony after award ceremony to try to show who's the best. We look forward to, we uplift those who we consider to be the best. We look for excellence. Except when it comes to two particular areas in this country, which I cannot figure out why they're the exception. You expect the best. If you buy a car, you want the best possible car you can buy for the money that you have, that you can afford. You want hands down. You're not going to say, well, I'm going to settle for No, you're not going to settle for second best. You are looking for the best car that you can possibly afford. Now, if you can afford, let's say a Mercedes, you're probably not going to go out. For whatever reason, you're probably not going to go out and buy a Hyundai Elantra, or a Suzuki, whatever. You're not going to do that because you want to be able to get the best that you can possibly afford. Now, if you can't afford that Mercedes, but you can only afford, a Ford, Chevy, or Chrysler, that's what you're going to do. You're going to be looking for the best you possibly can afford. You're going to do everything you can not to compromise. But we in this country seem to compromise in two very important and specific areas. We don't expect our best in these two specific yet very crucial and important areas. Politics and education. And I can't for the life of me figure out why that is. Why would we skimp on education? And why would we skimp on our politicians? I know some people are out there saying, well, Rod, we vote for these people and they end up doing something that we don't want them to do. But the point is that we do not expect them to do anything but be criminals or crooks or crooked and lying thieves. We don't, because we won't elect somebody who's not. Think about it. The reason why some people do not run for office, or if they do run, they don't get very far, is because they do not tell you what you want to hear. They tell you the truth and they're not ashamed to tell you. They're not scared to tell you. But we don't elect them. I would not get elected because I would tell you the truth, even if it's something you didn't want to hear. I'm kind of an a-hole that way. I do not compromise. I don't compromise for anything on anybody. Period. I only expect the best that I can afford. If I can't afford it, well, yeah, then I have to accept something lesser. But I can afford to go out there and vote and find the best possible candidate for a political office. Why wouldn't I? But the vast majority of us, for whatever reason, maybe it's just because we've become so cynical about it, but we do not do that. We no longer expect the best. And when we do get the best that comes along, most of the time we don't believe it. And if we do believe it, then, we're kind of like, well, they're not going to win anyway. And indeed they don't, because they tell us things that we don't want to hear. Probably in a manner, in a way in which we're not going to be receptive to it. Which is why I would never get elected, because I would not stoop to the level of telling you what you want to hear if it isn't the truth. Plain and simple. So we've got to learn how to, well, not learn, but we've just got to bring up our expectations into politics, and in education like we do for the rest of our lives. Because That's what's going to save the country, not settling.